Danny, it's supposed to be a great time to recruit to Arkansas, and Sam Pittman's already done good work in recruiting, but with where they are right now, and it's just 4 games into the season, it feels like the program is in a place to be able to recruit maybe in ways they haven't in a long time. What do you think?
What happened? Okay, the reaction to the Texas A&M game has been exactly what you would expect after a win like that, but especially because it was in front of so many Texas guys, right? Arkansas, as the home team, was able to provide tickets. They couldn't have any contact, as we talked about last week, once the kids got to the game. But, you put on quite a show in front of quite a few Texas kids. Not just Texas guys. They had a couple of guys fly in from Florida for that game, believe it or not, to accept the ticket and go to the game for Arkansas. I've heard from so many guys over the last, 72 hours now. Matter of fact, just heard from a few more this morning. A 4-star quarterback like Jackson Arnold. He's a quarterback out of Denton, Texas, Geyer High School down in Denton, big-time program. He called it a very special program that has been reconstructed for Arkansas. I thought that was an eloquent way of putting it. It's exactly what's happening. And Maurice Williams, a 4-star defensive back in the 24 class, he went on and on about Arkansas and this win, and one after the other, Phil. Nathan Mitchell, Caleb James, a couple more Texas kids there that, if I had to make a pick as of today, I would probably say Arkansas is a team to beat, whereas maybe a couple of weeks ago with a kid like Caleb James, 4-star defensive lineman, maybe that wouldn't have been the case. But I do think these 2 wins over big-time Texas teams have really helped them in that footprint down there.
Well, I know you could have you just mentioned it, you couldn't get face-to-face with the recruits in the game in Arlington. These next 2 weeks you're on the road, then it's a game in Fayetteville, so that can be back to official visits. But there's really there's limited time for the coaches to get face-to-face visits with a lot of these recruits that they've targeted. Have they been able to get on the road very much? I thought I heard Coach Pittman, it might have been last week, talking about that he's had the coaches back on the road because they've been able to kind of establish that rhythm of the season. That's
right. Yeah, I think they wanted to get into that rhythm and get off to a good start before they started actually hitting the road this season. And that's probably the smart move. I know they were spread out throughout the state of Texas on Friday night, even Thursday night. Some of them went down last week and got a head start on some of the early games. But yeah, I would expect going forward, they're probably going to spend more Friday nights on the road. But you talked about the official visit opportunities over the next few weeks, and you bring up a good point there where you go 3 or 4 weeks in a row where you don't really have a true home game. It makes it tough. And then not only that, as you mentioned there, when they're here for a game weekend, coinciding with their official visit weekend, you don't get as much time with them. That's why I think, nowadays you see so many guys taking those spring official visits, right? I think that started 2 years ago when the NCAA started pushing that back. If you're an upcoming senior, you can start those basically in your junior year towards the end of it. And we've seen quite a few of those guys come in this past spring and summer. So, maybe you're not relying so much upon a game in-season official visit anymore. I think you try to get those done early or late after the season. So you definitely get a whole lot more time, one-on-one time with the coaches because, hey, let's face it, you're here on a Saturday. If you show up at, let's say you got a game Friday night, right? Your game ends at 10 o'clock. You don't get to Fayetteville. You're from Texas, let's say Dallas. Maybe you fly in, you're here at 1, 2 a.m., or you wait until the morning and you're here at 8 or 9 a.m. Well, the coaches have a game to get ready for, so that's understandable, right? And of course, you have the game, and then maybe you only get a few hours with the coach on Sunday before you have to get out of here again. So I think that's why we're seeing so many guys, start to change their calendar and take some early visits or postseason visits.
And you talk about, excuse me, most of the official visits have kind of wrapped up at this point, and especially, we're 3-4 months away from the early signing period, and just a few more months after that away from your traditional signing period. So when they're the coaches are out on the road, this time period more about the 2023, 2024 class, or are they still looking at this class type of guys?
Sure. It's a great question, Drew. I think they were able to get a head start on the 23 and 24 cycles. Obviously, they filled up rather quickly with this current class, and that's good. That's how you want it nowadays, in my opinion. But to answer your question, there's some moving parts going on here. If the NCAA does, in fact, allow additional scholarships because of this new transfer ordeal, right? I think they're proposing, you get up to 7 additional scholarships. Well, if that comes to pass for Arkansas, it would be really well needed in this year's class because they are so short on numbers. They had quite a few guys transfer out. They had a lot of guys, turn pro, graduate, and this class, as it stands today, is really short on numbers. So they would really benefit from that. So, in answering your question, I think they're mindful of that when they go out and evaluate a current senior. If they have additional room that does come available, maybe they've got a spot for a guy that, as of right now, they don't. So I think there's something to that. But, yeah, you're also right on the 23 and 24 class. I've really been impressed by what they've been able to do, not only in terms of offering and getting a head start on evaluation of those guys, but they've had so many of those kids come to campus already. That's where it starts. I've always said unofficial visits are more important than official visits. I think you show me where a kid spends his time, where he has to pay his own dime to get there, I could probably give you a good idea of where he's going to end up, right? So yeah, unofficials are really, really important, and they're getting quite a few of them.
And that's a great point. And one of those future guys that I saw that he tweeted out that Arkansas has offered him a D1 scholarship, and I believe he said it was his 9th overall scholarship, which is just insane to think of these guys that do get 10, 20 offers from schools all the way around the country. Tight end Layden Thomas. What can you tell me about him, and how comfortable? What kind of percentage do you give him to pick the Hogs?
Yeah, it's really early. I think you're talking about the tight end out of Georgia. Am I correct there?
Yeah.
Landon Thomas, yeah. Okay, yeah, he's a kid out of Colquitt County, I believe. He goes around 6'4", 220, something like that. I know he's already committed to Florida State. He made guys, we're talking about a 2024 kid, so he's just a sophomore, and he's already been committed since April. You tell me, that's a long way out. Of course, he is committed to Florida State. Things not going so great down there. No offense to Alyssa Orange if she happens to be listening, but Seminoles ain't looking so good out there. So maybe there's a shot he comes back around. Arkansas is really targeting the state of Georgia really hard at this point. You bring in a guy like Sam Pittman, of course, he's got Georgia ties, and then he brings in Scott Fountain, who is really well known and well liked down there. And now you've got Jimmy Smith on the staff. I think he's a legend in Atlanta, so I would expect they're going to start pushing towards more of those Georgia guys, and Georgia can't sign all of them. And I think you can beat a team like Georgia Tech for a lot of those kids that are in Atlanta and South Georgia.
Danny, I saw the Football Oversight Committee made a recommendation to increase the player cap for next recruiting cycle, but it's only based upon departing transfers. If I read it correctly, sometimes this can be a little bit misleading if you don't read it exactly the way you need to. But if you lose 7 transfers, then you can add 7 players on top of your 25-player cap, correct?
Right, for a maximum of 32 in a class. Well, if you only lost 4, then you only get 4 back, is my understanding of it. So I'm not sure exactly when that calendar date starts and who you can count, how far back you can count back transfers, right? I think it goes back to the end of the previous season. And if so, I would think Arkansas gets all 7. Just thinking off the top of my head, it would seem to me they've had 7 transfers out since then. So, I'm just speculating there, but I think they would get at least a handful, Phil, of additional scholarships if that comes to pass. And, it certainly looks like it's going to.
I love how, and I touched on this yesterday, the way the defensive line has been put together. And, it's, Sam Pittman made all these guys when he first came in feel wanted. Eric Gregory, Zach Williams, Mateo Soli, Torian Carter, Isaiah Nichols. I might be leaving somebody out there. And then brings in 3 grad transfers. And, they're getting all the love for very good reasons. But to me, this is just a masterclass in how you, A, attack the transfer portal, scout properly, and B, coach up the guys that you inherited and develop defensive linemen. I mean, I think this is the best success story of this team.
I would agree with you. It almost makes you think Pittman went over and visited with Coach Muss, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at some of these guys like John Ridgway, right? I remember the day he tweeted out, Arkansas has offered me. I knew he was in the transfer portal, but I also knew he was at Illinois State, and I was thinking, okay, that's interesting. You don't always, no offense to Illinois State at all, right? But, it's a little bit interesting that they would offer a guy like that, and then lo and behold, 2 hours later, I think it was Texas, USC, everybody saw this kid. Hey, Arkansas has already offered him. Let's check out his film real quick and see what he's about. And he ended up with a staggering offer list. And John, as you get to know him, he's the type of guy that you weren't first on my list, therefore I'm not feeling you too much. So I think he really appreciated that. But, yeah, man, you bring up a really good point. It's almost shocking, right, to see how good these guys are. I remember Markel Utsey when he came out of Little Rock a few years ago. I felt like he was the guy Arkansas probably should have gone after. And, I'm not just saying that in hindsight. I really felt that way at the time. And of course, he makes his way back. You bring in Trey Williams, and what can you say about this guy? I had no idea he was that good. I'm not sure anybody did, but he's at full health now, and he certainly looks like it. I'm curious to see how he matches up. He just ran through Kenyon Green down there, one of the best linemen in the country, so I'm curious to see if he can do it again against possibly even better competition this week.
He's going. That's for certain. That's for certain. I mean, he's going up against Jamari Salyers, one of the best left tackles in the country, and as good as Green is, second-team preseason All-American, he didn't look the part against Trey Williams. That's for sure.
No, he didn't.
Amazing. That really was amazing. Danny, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you, man. Thanks as always for your time.
Yeah, thank you,
We're
guys.
back and better than ever. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back for another football season. As always, BetOnline is your #1 spot for all the pro and college football action this season. With the new updated site and interface, even more odds, props, and contests, BetOnline continues to be the #1 source for everything football. Head to your website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV. From football, basketball, boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of these amazing offers for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.